All right, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us. My name is Lauren Shakes and I'm the Associate Director at the Pikes Peak Small Business Development Center. If you haven't heard of us, I see a couple new faces in the room. We're a small business resource. We offer low cost or free advising, consulting, trainings, workshops just like this all across El Paso and Teller County. If we can be a resource to your small business, to your company, please feel free to reach out. I'll be sitting in the back of the room. But it is my pleasure today to talk about our partnership that we have up here with the Tri-Lakes Chamber. And we partner to host the monthly education series, this being one of them. And today I'm very excited to have Audrey Kirchner with us. She is an SBDC advisor. We're going to be talking about networking at 9 a.m. in the morning. How does everyone feel about that? Yeah, exciting. Let's go. Quick show of hand. Who loves networking? Oh my gosh, I need to be friends with you guys. And those of us that just know we have to do it, because that's part of the kid with my mind a little bit. But it is really important. It's really important for you small business owners to get your business out there, to gain clients, whatever that partnerships, whatever that may look like for you. Networking is an essential part to being a small business owner. And we have an amazing advisor here to talk about ways to do that are effective. That's not just shoving the business cards in your pocket and then maybe remembering them before they go in the wash and then trying to remember who they were, and how you resonate your message with the people that you're networking with. Is that what everyone signed up for? We're all on the same page? Okay,
Yes.
good. Before I turn it over to Audrey, I just wanted to thank all of you for being here. Who is currently in business, operational, owning a business? Okay. And others, are we owners or not quite there yet?
I mean, I work for a company that.
Perfect. That's everyone else? Awesome.
Business
Great.
development,
We have a great group here. Thank you for taking an hour and a half out of your day, especially starting the morning here with us. Whether you are working for someone who owns a small business or you are the owner yourself, this is an hour and a half of time to invest in yourself, to improve your skills, and hopefully make you more valuable to your business. One step in achieving whatever your small business goals are. So we thank you for being here and thank you for giving us the hour and a half that you probably could have spent doing something else. But thank you for being here. Julie, did you want to say anything?
I'd love to. Thank you. First off, welcome. We do love this partnership, and it is one of those things about membership with the Chamber that this is one of our free perks, but this is a free perk for the community. I mean, this is the way we serve the Tri-Lakes area, and we do this once a month. Some of you are regulars. We appreciate you. But spread the word. I mean, there's some cool stuff we have come through here as far as what people can learn about. We do have some more upcoming events. I happen to have some free baseball tickets for the Vibes on August 17th. It's Tri-Lakes Community Day. So if you want some free baseball tickets for the Vibes for you and your family, don't have to be a member. It's a midday game. I think it starts at 12. Talk to me afterwards.
I'm okay with that.
I
know Hayden Brown.
I know you came, and I have something for you.
Hayden Brown I met at a networking event, and he's a rep for them. I mean, he works for them, and he networks for them.
But we're thrilled you're here.
Awesome.
And without further ado, unless you wanted to say a few words more.
No, thank you, Julie. It is my pleasure to introduce Audrey Kirchner. She is the owner of Impuma Marketing, and again, an SBDC advisor. So the flow of this, if you haven't been here before, do not wait until the end to ask your questions. We will have about an hour and a half, just a couple minutes less. Raise your hand, interrupt, make sure you get your questions answered while you're here. This is what our advisors are trained to do. It's not offensive at all. If she's saying acronyms and you're just like, what the heck does that mean? Or you want to ask a follow-up question to something she's talking about, get it answered while we're on that topic. We will leave a couple minutes at the end for our Q&A. If you have anything that's super specific to your business that you'd rather talk to Audrey about on a later date, off-sites, just one-on-one, you can sign up for free advising through the Pikes Peak SBDC. But this is your hour and a half to learn everything about networking. So make sure you get your questions answered before we let you go for the day. Otherwise, it is my pleasure to turn the floor over to Audrey.
Thank you, Lauren. Alrighty, so we're going to talk about networking, and we've got a mix in the room. And so hopefully there's a little bit here for everybody. Just to give you my background, like why talk about networking. I've been a business owner for 15 years, and I worked in corporate America for 25 years before that. So I've built my business the last 15 years primarily on network marketing. Okay, so networking is a marketing tool. So when you're thinking about your marketing mix and you don't have a lot of capital to spend on marketing, it's something you should definitely throw into the mix. And so I have built my business on referrals and strategic partners, and so that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today is what I do, how I do it, and what I've learned from others as well. And the clicky thing worked. Sort of. You don't want to go that way? You want to go this way? There we go. So why does networking matter? First off, it's the fastest way to build trust and credibility within your community and whatever you define as your community. So it could be inside of your office, it could be with other businesses that you work with, or other groups that you're part of, right? You build authentic connections and you foster trust. And then all of us in business development know trust is the number one thing. With whoever you're working with, your clients, your partners, people you're collaborating with, right? You generate qualified referrals. So and the cool thing about the referrals and the people that you meet with networking, especially when it's people that you know, is we've all heard of the life cycle of selling, right? That you need, something to 7 to 9 touches depending on what you do. Something like someone finding you off the internet or calling you from your website, that is touch number 1. When you get a solid referral from someone who knows you, you're at like touch 5. I've had people tell me, I got a referral, I started talking to them, I told them what we were going to do, and they said, you know what? Eric recommended you, we're going to do this. It was because of the recommendation and how I put myself forward that let me sell the sale right away. And then it's cost effective. It is not free. And we'll talk more about where you need to invest, but it is much more cost effective than advertising or hiring people to do things for you. So if you're not ready to have a sales team yet and you have to do your networking yourself, do your networking. And then as your business grows, delegate the networking. Don't stop it. I don't think you should ever stop networking as a business. Okay, so before we talk about networking, we're going to take a step back and talk about branding. Because you can do all these networking things, but if your brand is not solid, the networking isn't going to be nearly as effective as it could be. So first we're going to talk about name and promise. The name of your business and what you say you're going to do. So naming can fall in one of 2 ways. You can be very on the nose, like Toys R Us, if any of us remember who they are. Everybody in the room looks old enough to know who Toys R Us is. Or you could be Apple. Apple does not sell apples. We know what Apple sells, right? When we see that icon, we know exactly who they are. That is the brand, seeing the icon, knowing exactly who they are. So one is on the nose and the other one is implied. I like implied because if you change or shift what you do, you don't have to rename your company. Kind of like what happened to Toys R Us. They wanted to get into baby stuff. They created Babies R Us, and everything got separated. I think that's part of the problem is, they should have had a more overarching type of name. But have a brand, have a name. So part of that, and what I'm going to talk about next, but which is actually not second, is your target audience. Identify your ideal customer. How I tell people to do this is think about who you're willing to spend money on to get them to become a client. So you might want to work with everyone, but who are you willing to actually spend money on to say, I want this group of people to become my client? That's what we mean by the word ideal. I talk to a lot of people and I ask them, who's your ideal client? Oh, everybody. Everybody needs my stuff. I'm like, well, you don't have enough money to market to everybody. Nobody does, right? And so make sure you understand who they are and then understand specifically what their needs are and what their preferences are. And this is going to come in really, really handy while you're networking. We're going to tie this back in. So a lot of times, understanding this helps make this easier, right? Then you want to figure out how you're different and differentiate yourself. clearly identify what makes your business unique or different, but not from your perspective, from the ideal customer perspective, right? So if I have 5 plumbers standing in front of me, I know what I want, but how am I gonna choose which one? It's the one that understands my personal preference, and I see that as what makes them unique. So you're gonna need to understand who that ideal customer is, what their preferences are, and then make sure that you talk about that as being unique, right? Because we all have competitors, we have to differentiate ourselves from them. So specific skills, unique approaches, competitive advantages, right? If you have an exclusive partnership with someone that no one else has, that's a competitive advantage. If your ideal customer wants it, they gotta come to you. But there's other ways to make yourself that way too. And then the last piece is professional presence, right? We have to look the part. When we're going into networking meetings, when we're meeting people, and then your materials also have to. You know, take the extra time, spend the extra money. If you have marketing materials that you're creating, get them professionally printed. Unless you have a business printer in your office, you know, take the extra time, spend the extra money, and have them professionally printed. No one may say to you, oh my gosh, this is great, it's so professional, but it's gonna stick in their memory and they're not even gonna realize it when they relate back to you. And then in this day and age, we still need business cards, right? If someone asks us for one, and make sure you have them handy. I actually almost forgot mine today and I ran back in the house. And websites, you still need websites, right? And then any other collateral or things that are consistently reflecting your brand and that are specific to you. So it's not just print materials. If you have company vehicles, make sure they are branded correctly and branded well, right? Sometimes it's clothing, right? Sometimes it's other things. If you have leave behinds, all of that kind of stuff, all of that matters.
Audrey, can I ask you, sorry,
Sure.
2 questions on the differentiation. So are you suggesting then, because what I heard you say is you want to differentiate yourself based on how your customers view you. So I think it's important that if I hear you saying it is just post completion of that sale or service that you provide is to really ask your customers for honest feedback and get it in their words, testimonials, right? And
Yeah.
use that.
So in order to understand what your unique business profile is, if you don't know, talk to your customers, ask them, right? And what I would say to them is, you know, the happy customers, I need your help. Tell me why you chose me, right? What was it about my product, my service, that made you decide to work with me? And now that you're working with me, what was the hidden gem you found? You don't have to use the word hidden gem, right? You can say, you know, what did I not tell you up front that you found out later that you would have loved to know? And those are the things that help you differentiate yourself from the competition.
And then one last one, just with technology and everything, business cards, I still think they're effective. I know for us, we went a little bit on QR codes.
I would
Thoughts
do
on that?
both,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, the
QR
old school people don't, not
Don't.
to interject, but yeah, old
Yeah.
school
Yeah.
people are like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
But there is
And
something
not-
about it.
Yeah, and not just old school. Sometimes we're in a hurry. Oh, I wanna
Yeah.
catch up with you. Here is my card,
Yeah,
right? Or do you have one? That hand exchange is so much faster than a
Yep.
QR code or
Yeah.
trying to make sure that the phones connect and do their doo-doo
Right.
to transfer things.
exactly.
But I have a QR code on my business card.
Yeah.
But it's actually my call to action not to connect with me, right? And then it's a little piece of real estate, because I'm gonna talk about this more, is I actually have what I do and who I do it for on my business card, right? So they're still extremely valuable, and yeah, all my contact information is
Totally,
there.
I agree.
Yeah. But no, I would still do the other things, but don't not have business cards,
Yeah, okay.
right? Because sometimes people are like, hey, I need to leave, if you want to leave material, throw it on the table. You can't throw your QR code on the table, not unless it's printed. So there's a time and place. Any other questions?
So I've seen so many business cards lately that I couldn't find a phone number or an email address. For me personally, I don't care how I can get a hold of you, but I need to be able to find it easily.
Yeah.
When there's everything else but a phone number and email address on a business card, and
And
it drives me crazy.
That is a good point. The reason for the business card was to let someone connect with you, put all your connections on there. So in addition to name, company, email, telephone number, I like on the backside, put what you do and how they can connect with you, and that's why I use the QR code. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so now that we've got the branding basics down, right? Let's talk about what networking is. So, networking is creating genuine relationships with people. So if you've ever taken, and maybe it's an old school, I don't know if they teach this anymore, but in the world of sales, you're either a hunter or you're a farmer, right? Networking is farming. Digital advertising, cold email, that kind of stuff, that's hunting. You're looking for the one person to get the sale from them, the next person to get the sale from them, over and over and over again. And it's not wrong or bad, but what networking is building relationships so that those relationships continue to feed you. So it's like planting a seed, that's why we call it farming. Okay, so, and creating those genuine relationships, you have to build trust, right? You hear people talk, know, like, and trust. You want people to know you, you want to make sure you're trusted so that they refer you. So in order to do that, the first thing you have to do is be a good listener. We network a lot, we hear people talk a lot. You're actually better off being a listener and being curious about others and what they need. And I'll talk more about why that's advantageous to you as part of this. And then, so what that allows you to do is make connections. Your goal in networking should be to make a connection and not selling. Like, we've all met that person, they stuffed their business card in our face, blah, 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 this is what I do you need it? No, all right, I'm out, gone. You're like, what just happened, right? We've all been sideswiped by that guy, right? Don't be that guy, right? That's where he'll go back to his boss and say, networking doesn't work, right? Because he's trying to be a hunter while the rest of the people are farming. And so that brings me to giver's gain. Understanding needs and giving without expectations. It's hard, right? We're trying to grow our business, that's about me. But in order to network effectively, you have to give without expecting anything back. Now, the reality is, you will get tenfold back if you network this way. You'll be the go-to person for people. People will enjoy seeing you at networking meetings. They won't go, oh my gosh, right? I gotta go stand in the closet. Then they're gonna walk right up to you, right? So keep that giver's gain mentality in your head. And I even take it further. I always try to give first. I purposefully try to give first, right? Knowing that they might not give back. And sure, you have the ones that won't give back, and then you just kind of let them go on their way. So this is really what networking is all about. We're going to start breaking more of this down. Okay, let's talk about who and where. So remember when I said low cost, not free? Where you network, there are going to be charges associated with it. So if you go into professional organizations, local chambers, woohoo, right? There's fees, but they are marketing fees. Meaning, if you build good connections and you get clients, you have a return on investment of that fee. That's the way you have to think about this. And honestly, sometimes depending on who your ideal client is and who you need to network with, free events are not the right place for you to be. Sometimes you need to be in the paid events area or be part of the bigger associations. So you just got to think about that. A lot of that's going to depend on who knows your ideal client and then where they're hanging out. So professional associations, industry-specific organization, trade groups, and professional bodies. This could be yours, so you can meet peers, or it could be your target audiences, right? So think about that. If you're a real estate agent and you want insurance brokers to contact you for whatever reason, then join Broker Associations of America. Go where the people are. And they are strategic partners, which we'll talk about. Online communities, LinkedIn, niche forums, social media. Digital networking is good, just realize it takes 10 times longer. That face-to-face interaction happens, the connections happen so much faster, but they do happen online, it just takes a little bit longer. So just be patient with it. But, you know, if you don't have a lot of in-person time and you need to mix things up, it's a good way to go. Local business chambers, so chambers of commerce, civic organizations, and local community events. So if the chamber is putting on an event where people that you know would be a good client, get a table, or at the very least attend and mingle. Trade shows would be another one. Spend the money, go to a trade show if the people that you want are there. And then I purposely talk about BNI, Business Networking International chapters, because I'm a former BNI member for 15 years, right? So if you don't like marketing, if you don't want to figure out how to do it, you can join a big BNI, and not only will you get referrals, but they'll actually teach you to be an outstanding marketer. Because part of their program is this huge educational piece on helping you help other businesses grow along with your own. And that's primarily where the Giver's Gain concept comes from. So if you don't want to try to figure this out on your own, so what a BNI chapter is the goal of that chapter, all the people in the room, is designed to give each other business. You consider them your sales team. Everybody in the room is non-competitive, meaning there's only one writer in the room. There's only one plumber in the room. There's only one commercial real estate person in the room, right? And then it's designed that if I know somebody who needs a real estate agent, I refer them to the person in my room. So it's pretty powerful, and you learn a lot from it. And that's why I called them out specifically, because a lot of people are like, you know, what are those networking groups about? Okay. Any questions on where and who? So I talked about strategic partners, power partners, and client referrals. So when we think of networking, we think of this. But there's this whole untapped other side, which actually, so if you take the hunter and farmer, right, from a networking perspective, this is a little more hunting, this is true farming, right? And most people don't know that it exists or how to do it the right way. So client referral is a satisfied client or someone you've met or know, right? They recommend your business. Hey, the person was saying, oh, I need so-and-so. Oh, you know what? I know someone, or I use this person, let me refer them to you, right? Based off of experience, it's a one-off recommendation. They may not meet someone that needs that over and over again. That's the big point with this side, right? Based off of past performance, and it's typically reactive, meaning they happen to meet someone who said they needed something, and boom, they give the referral. And don't get me wrong, they are great. They are still in that 5 to 6 touch point range. But your strategic partner is a business or an individual who serves the same target audience as you do. So remember when I was talking about identifying your ideal customer? That's important in networking because you want to make sure that you create partnerships with people that you serve the same person as you. And then the second half of this is that they're offering a complimentary service. They are not your competitors. And that, even bonus, they're actively looking to give referrals. So a very simple example to understand is a real estate agent and a home inspector, right? Every real estate agent that helps someone buy or sell a home needs a home inspector. And so they are strategic partners. Make sense? So mutual ongoing relationship, proactive lead generation, and shared client base that's not competitive. So if you can, that's why I talk so much about strategic partnerships. I say if you spend most of your time trying to find strategic partners and build really good relationships there, this just kind of happens.
So how do you go about doing that then? Is it questions that you're asking them? Because maybe we'll get to this, because you know, you go to these places and everyone, the most common question you get, well, what do you do? Now, in my opinion, that should not be your first question, but you know, what's your target audience? You know, you get to ask questions and listen. Is that how you go about them?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why, remember when I showed you the pyramid and I said listening is really important? Because if you want to help your business, understanding what the person standing in front of you does is critically important for you. Critically important. and I'm gonna talk you through some of that stuff. So first, you gotta know who your ideal client is. Second, you've gotta know who your strategic partners are, right? Off the top of your head, so that if someone says, oh, I'm CPA, you go, ding, 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 strategic partner. We're gonna be best friends, right? You gotta know that right inside your head, not, could this person be a strategic partner? But don't worry, I'm gonna walk you through how to identify them. We got a couple exercises we're doing today, and figuring out who your strategic partners are is one of them. Actually, it might even be the next one, if I remember right. It is, hooray! Okay, so we're gonna do our first exercise of the morning. So get out whatever you're writing or thing is. And so the first thing I want you to start thinking about is your mind shift. Don't ask the question, who needs my service, right? The question is, who already serves the people I want to reach? That's what we're going to help you figure out today. So step number one, define your ideal audience. Who do you serve best? Or like I said earlier, who are you willing to spend money on to get them to come and partake of your services? So some examples are, and you're going to hear me talk about daycares a lot because I kind of picked them as a target audience because I don't like it. Parents with kids under 5 in a specific city, in Monument. That is a ideal target audience. If someone from Black Forest has kids, that's great too, but I want Monument first. And then another one is for roofers. Homeowners over 40 with aging roofs, right? They are value-based, this roofing company, and they want clients that are not going to make their decision on price alone. And so that's why they want over 40. More mature, have more capital, so they can buy high-value products. So take a few minutes and jot down who your ideal client is. Really focus down, right? Get into the nitty-gritty a little bit. So we're gonna give you 5 minutes to do that, because this is important. If you need help, raise your hand, shout it out. I guarantee you we'll figure it out. I've done this for years. Anybody struggling? Okay. Alrighty. Who wants to share who their ideal audience is, who their ideal customer is?
I'll share.
Awesome. What do you do? Tell me.
So
what you
I'm
do.
insurance broker.
Awesome.
So auto, property, pet, life, residential, commercial, I can refer small, medium to my small business, small commercial business team. And so my ideal audience are mortgage brokers, because the first thing they say to their client who's getting a loan is, why don't you go get quotes on homeowners insurance? And that's what has been my number one. I've got 5 on my.
Let me ask you a question. Who buys the policy from you? The broker?
No.
The mortgage guy, or the homeowner?
The homeowner.
So the homeowner is your ideal customer.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you want to focus on. Your mortgage broker is your strategic partner, but for step 1 here, we're talking about who the ideal client is. So make sure you refine that. Everybody understand the difference between the two? One is the person who's going to give you money, so you're spending money to get money from them, and the other person is a strategic partner who is going to give you the client, who's going to give you the money. Anybody else?
Sure. So I own a technology company. We're a technology managed services organization. So my ideal customer is really someone who has an IT budget, who's at least about 50 employees and has a physical building.
Okay. That is very specific. Any specific industry?
Not really.
And that's okay. I'm really, really glad that you put that up because a lot of people think they have to niche down. You don't. His is a vertical niche, not a horizontal niche. And both are valid. But he had all the criteria to make it a useful horizontal niche. I mean, he didn't say, oh, anybody with a pulse and a budget, they have to have 50 employees or more, and they have to have a physical location. Do we care where that physical location is?
Doesn't matter.
Awesome, right? Because you can VPN.
Yep.
Cloud in and do all the things, right? So that is actually a really good definition. You want to share too?
Sure. So Eternal Edge Solutions, I do business and content writing.
Okay.
So mine is small to medium-sized companies with marketing teams of 0 to 2 people max. And my best people are the owners or operators of said companies.
Okay. The only other thing you might want to add to that is small to medium-sized businesses means different things to different people. A small business can be from 0 employees to 200.
Well, and I think that's why I was clarifying on their marketing team as far as the aspects.
But the other reason why you clarify that is to know what their annual income is by seat, right? So if it is a business, because just say you have 2 marketing people, that may mean they may not have enough budget to pay you, right? So part of your definition has to define that level of the company where they can afford you. And that's why yours was good, because 50 people, one, we know they need an IT team, and if they're generating enough revenue to support 50 employees, then they can afford you.
Mhm.
So think about that when you're also figuring out your ideal client. Voice of experience. I spent a lot of time chasing after people that I thought were ideal clients, but they couldn't afford me, and I wasn't having lunch. So I had to really redefine that. Okay. Any other thoughts or questions before we move on to step 2?
So I have a business that I do documentaries
Yes.
for families' legacy.
Perfect.
So it's a brand new business. It's a spin-off of a visual effects company that I have. I've been struggling a lot finding my niche because I initially thought that my ideal client was 85, 75-year-old people will be willing to create a full cinematic documentary about themselves for their kids. And I'm debating right now if I should targeting their kids in their 45s to 40s, in their 40s, to do it for their parents, or to targeting their parents to leave it for their kids.
Yes, I would even do 40 to 55.
My nephew 30 did it for my
Yeah.
mother, so it was his grandmother.
Yeah.
Because he was all about, he's a 30-year-old. Every 30-year-old knows how to do all that digital stuff,
Yeah, but and that's true. 30-year-olds might do it themselves and might not want to pay you, but 40 to 55, they have the discretionary income, and it makes a wonderful gift, right? So that should be as part of it too. Is people that want to give the gift of this product that are 40 to 55 years old to their families, right? To those generations. Because targeting them, most of them don't, they feel like it's hubris. Why do I need to talk about myself? But if you do it the other way around, as a gift, it works great.
And I'd say up the range to 65.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You just
Okay.
have this beautiful market research. I would do
Right.
that for my family.
Because
Yes, parents are living
We've got
longer
the
too.
older parents, we've
Yeah.
got the kids who don't care about it yet.
But if they're, so that's exactly right.
Should I narrow my client a little bit more even ideologically, because these people will be people that have high value of family, potentially
Correct.
religious.
Yes.
With
And
the
to get that
means.
clarifying, anybody that you've done these for, ask them why they did it. They're the ones that are gonna give you those micro clarifications, right? Because it could be high sense of family, maybe they were raised by their grandparents, we don't know yet. But ask those questions, and then those micro details those will come out. And then also your differentiators, which is gonna be why to have you do it versus the 30-year-old who does it himself. right? Because that's gonna be always, for you, that's always gonna be one of the things, because the technology is out there for people to do it themselves, but it may not be as good. Like, why should they have you do it? Why? That's the other question, and then that can be part of your target. Great, I'm glad someone with B2C talked too, because they're two different animals. Awesome. Okay, so let's move on to step 2. Now that we are clear about who our ideal audience is, now let's talk about and create a list of people who already serve them, but are not competitors of you. So not other PNC agents. You talked about it, the mortgage guy, right? Real estate agents to home inspectors in home. Gosh, I should have fixed that. Come on. All right, go ahead and start writing. I'm gonna get this fixed. There it goes. Oh, it went ahead. So, event planners, that kind of stuff. Really think about, put yourself in the shoes of your clients, and so for business to business, who do they need to run that business? And then for business to consumer, what else do they consume aside from your product? That's in a similar vein, right? So for you, if it would be a gift, what other types of gifts are given? Or would this be a special occasion, like if there's an anniversary? And would they be throwing a party? Would event planners be good for you? Party planners, right? That's the way you want to start thinking about this a little bit, because I know yours is a little harder. So come up with 3 to 5 different people. Even if it feels like a stretch, get that brain working a little bit. IT technology, operational professionals, coaches would be really good for you, because they're going to come in and go, oh, your IT's a hot mess. Here's a card. Or they're trying to do something and the technology in-house isn't where they need to be. If you're feeling a little stuck, just shout out what you do and I can give you ideas. Try to come up with at least 3 to 5. Your first 2 might be really obvious, but we want to also help you come up with the not so obvious. Because sometimes there's gold in that 5 range.
Stuck here. So I do permanent placement and recruiting, right? So I partner up with businesses here that are expanding, doing succession planning. They're growing.
Yeah.
And I also help individuals that are gainfully employed but passively looking. So they're looking for career advancement, growth is my space.
Yep.
20 years doing it. So as far as number 2, for me, it's CPA firms because they're offering those services.
Yep.
They're like bookkeeping services or companies, but
Yep.
beyond that, I'm stuck.
Business brokers.
So define that a little bit more.
So business broker helps people buy and sell businesses. And as part of that, their staffing needs. The other group that I think would be amazing for you are fractionals. Fractional C-suites.
Yeah.
These are bigger companies, but they're not so big that they have their C-suite in-house, or they're in transition, right? So let's say their chief operating officer left, and they were in the process of reorganizing. And so they bring in a fractional COO temporarily, right?
Yeah.
But that fractional says, hey, the CMO's not the right fit. I know a guy, let's clean all of this stuff up now while you're in transition. So the fractional brings people in all of the time. They've got this locked in, right? Because that's part of their value add. So any fractional CEOs, COOs, CFOs, that mirrors very nicely back into your CPAs, your fractional HR people, and then HR professionals in general are your also.
Thank you.
So you're saying CPA companies for him, right? 'Cause
Right,
He
CPAs.
staffs bookkeepers and CPAs.
No, CPAs will actually recommend him to go for hiring into a company that builds widgets.
I was gonna say, because I have a CPA firm just moved in across the hall from me, there's like 22 CPAs.
Would love to talk.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
It's
and-
Victor, right?
See,
It is good.
like
You
he's
have
in
one,
the,
Angie, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, we've talked.
so both are, so one is a customer and they're also a referral partner. And they work with businesses that he wants to work with. So a CPA for him is a trifecta. Right? They're all the things. But fractionals, I think,
Yeah.
would be amazing for you as well. Anybody else feel stuck? Not sure? Can't get to that number 5? Did you think of anybody else?
Me?
Yeah, outside your mortgage broker, guys?
Roofing companies.
Yes. And I have.
I only say that because I wasn't on a roof, but I worked for a roofing company, about 5 years ago, and did door to door with a guy who got up on the roof, and
Mhm.
he was telling me, he's like, when I'm on the phone with them talking to the claims,
Yes.
I'm telling him, why are you with so-and-so when you should be with
Exactly.
this guy, or this guy,
Yeah,
you know?
you guys are natural referral partners. I actually work with a roofing company that you guys are their ideal strategic partner, and they actually market directly to your group. Very strategic. What about you?
Me, I've got IT coaches that are auditors, manufacturing automation companies. So people that come in and go to a company and try to automate, doesn't have the right IT. Also IT security firms.
Yeah.
Because we don't do security, we do managed services. And then also physical security, so cameras, door readers, those kind of companies are going and expecting a level of IT infrastructure that doesn't exist.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you don't have it on your list, another one that would be good for you is property management
I have
association.
HOAs.
Okay, good. All right, awesome. Anybody else want to share?
Commercial bankers would be great for you too. I use them all the time.
And what do you do?
Similar to her, I represent Sage Grove Financial Partners. We do finance. We're partnered with JP Morgan, insurance, commercial, personal.
But see, she doesn't do commercial.
Yeah.
I do small to medium, but not
See?
medium.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I said similar.
But the thing is similar is not the same, and so then you could be referral partners as well. So don't throw that baby out with the bathwater, just because you hear, oh, I do insurance too.
No, I work with a lot of insurance
Yeah.
brokers all the time.
But that's good for everybody else. Dig it a little deeper. Don't just go, oh, you do what I do, I'm out of here, I'm not giving you my card. Because even for me, sometimes, like, part of what we do is we build websites. But we build websites for high-end companies. I meet people that are like, oh, I need a website, but I'm hairstylist. I'm like, girl, I love you, but I am not you. I'm giving you to Joe over here because he is going to be fabulous for you. I am not the right partner for you, right? So I even strategically partner that way, but you got to get your feet under you with your real strategic partners first. But yeah, that's great. Love that. Okay. So that kind of dovetails us into the next step, right? Pick 2 to focus on. So the reason you want to focus on the top 2, especially if this is new for you, right? Don't try to go out and find all the strategic partners. You want to focus on the ones who are most motivated to refer. Like the first one off the top of your head was the mortgage broker. He is the first one to refer because he needs to help his client in order to close the mortgage. The real estate agent with the home inspector, they need the home inspector to close the job. So those are the ones that are highly motivated. And that's why, Victor, fractionals are good for you. Because if a fractional comes into a company and they're trying to fix or change something, and if people and not having the right or enough staff is the barrier for him or her to finish their job, you are absolutely critical and necessary for them. Make sense?
Oh, great.
So who are the critical and necessary? Who are you critical and necessary to? And then you're also going to look for the people that are critical and necessary for you, right? Because if you're referring to someone a lot, they're going to reciprocate. That's the giver's gain. If I give Joe 9 websites over here, Joe is going to inadvertently find someone where their website is way out of his abilities. And then he's going to go, I'm going to give you to Audrey. Right? Or the other part of my services is AI consultant. Joe knows this. We've had a lot of conversations. He had new AI. someone comes in and goes, great, here's the website, now I wanna do X, Y, and Z with AI. Here you go, right? Cause he's helping his customer meet a critical need. So highlight, star, happy face, those people.
So one of my better referral sources is actually internal companies. So companies that have like a BD staff that is overworked. And I get a ton of referrals that way. How do you maximize that?
So they're internal employees doing business development. You need to
They
have
usually,
strategic partners with sales coaches.
so I have those on here. I have
Okay.
the consultants, business coaches,
Yeah.
sales coaches.
Because when BD is overwhelmed, the first thing they do is train and hire a sales coach.
Yeah.
And then that sales coach is gonna say, you know what? Bring in a writer to do X, Y, and Z to help the sales team, and here, by the way, I've got one for you. So I would say they're probably one of your most motivated referral partners.
Okay.
Sales coaches, regular business coaches, oh gosh, what is it? Chief sales officers, it's a thing, they're
Mhm.
fractional.
Well, and that's
Um,
usually part of where I get run up the chain too. Either that or ownership, depending on company size.
Yeah, whoever's managing the BD cycle.
Okay.
And depending on the, do we wanna come back? There we go. So yeah, that's who's gonna be good for you.
Okay.
The other thing is, people who install CRM systems.
Oh, I didn't think
BD
about
people
that.
have to use CRMs, someone has to come in and install them and configure them and train on them. And then during the training, the salespeople might be like, rah, 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 and then they go, oh, person who's heading up the CRM installation, get this done by the writers so that we get compliance with the CRM. That's how that little cycle works. So understanding the cycles that your ideal customer goes through to get what they need completed is also helpful, and it's gonna help you figure out who your strategic partners are. Okay, step number 4 is planning your ask. So how do you want to let that strategic partner know that you wanna be strategic partners? So in the example of a daycare, it's, if you know parents looking for children for childcare, I'd love you to be your go-to. The one I like better, right, is let's refer clients to each other. We serve the same people, right? What that does is it lets them know that you are in reciprocation mode, right? You are a giver, you wanna give, let's be givers together, let's do this together. Because sometimes someone may think that way, but then they're talking, saying, hey, if you could give me this and you could give me that, and then it's human nature, like, well, what are you gonna do for me, pal, right? But if you start off with, I'm gonna give to you, would you give to me? Then you know it's gonna be a reciprocal relationship.
I heard that the other day from a friend of mine who's an investor, and he's like, how's your referrals going? How are your coffee meets? I'm like, funny you should ask. I said, I can't tell you how many people I've developed relationships with that I love,
Mm-hmm.
that we refer each other. But then there's the people that are coming after me going, I hear you referred so-and-so and so-and-so, and you've got, everybody in town. And I was just like doing my thing, referring. And my friend, he's like, Angie, you need to, before you email and introduce that person to your referral, say, who are you gonna, give me 3 names you're gonna refer me to.
Yeah, that's one way to do it, or you set the expectation. I would love to be a referral partner for you, but my best referral partners also give me back. So
Yeah.
are you willing to reciprocate to
That's
me?
what I need to start saying.
Yeah. Ask that question, and that's what I
But
do.
it's not being kind of, I'm the nice one.
But you can be nice by asking this question. A lot of times I'll be like, hey,
Get there to it.
I want to refer to you, but I like to eat too. Are you going to refer back to me? Right? If I help
Right.
you, are you going to help me? That's the right way for you to do it, being the nice person. I'm so willing to help you. Are you willing to help me too?
I need to start saying that.
Yeah. And then, no one's going to say no, but they're going to understand your expectations, right? No one's going to say, no, I'm not going to help you, especially if you're helping me. And if they do, you go, dude, I'm so backing out of this, right? Tells you a lot about people.
Right.
Tells you, and that's the name of the game when you're networking. You know this. It's like you've got to identify whether they're creepy, they're just in it for themselves, or they're going to be just a waste of your time. Because there's a lot of personal and time investment in this process, And so you have to quickly identify these people and either dig in or exit gracefully as quickly as possible.
That's
Right?
why I
And
think
that's
your
one
approach
question.
when you meet people is key. You know, again, you go into, I'm sure we've all experienced, and the very first question is, well, what do you do? To me, that's the wrong question. You know, what brings you here?
Yeah.
You know, what's new in your business?
Yeah.
You know, get them talking and try to build that relationship. Because you're right, you'll see those people coming that it's just me. What do you have for me?
Yeah,
Me,
and
me.
that's why we listen, we ask questions and we listen first. Because the more you do this, you're gonna identify those people like, nope, yep, nope, yep, nope. And then you just keep going from there. So, let's talk a little bit more about your thing, about talking to people, when people ask you what you do, or that kind of thing. Any questions on this? Anybody feel like they're stuck? Because it's really important for you to know who your strategic partners are. That's what's gonna make networking amazing for you. Amazing. And if you go to a networking people, a group or something, or someone says, hey, how can I help you? You either ask them for a client or you ask them for a strategic partner, depending on who they are, right? So for you, I do B2B. I talk to business owners all day. I might not be able to help you find a client, but if you tell me who your strategic partners are, I bet you $10 I know one, right? Just because of what I do. So depending on who I'm talking to, I'm like, hey, how can I help you? Give me a strategic partner and tell them who you're specifically looking for. I need a CPA. I need a fractional COO. I need, a cybersecurity expert who doesn't do IT and implementation. So be very, very clear about that.
Yeah, because I always ask, who's your ideal client?
Right, but not just that, but strategic partnerships as well, because it's a lot easier to do a strategic partner referral,
Yeah.
and that is very good giving as well, right? You're teaching them to fish, right? You're giving the gift that's going to keep on giving. You can give one person a client, or you can give them a strategic partner. Okay, so let's move on to our next exercise, where we talk about boy, we're just not playing. Come on, there we go. Okay, so when someone does ask you, or you have to stand up in a room and tell people what you do, I would like to help you do it with story. We like stories. Why do you think Netflix is so popular, right? And so if you can figure out how to tell the story of who you work with and how you help them, and be able to say that quickly and easily, you're going to get more people that get it to stick in their brain. And in networking, how many people remember who you are, especially when they're having a conversation with someone, is the name of the game. So the next exercise we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through how to create your StoryBrand one-liner. StoryBrand is a framework that Donald Miller created. He's got a book. He's got a whole course. A lot of writers know who he is because you can write all your marketing content and do all your sales copy in the StoryBrand methodology. But that's a whole nother course. So what we're going to do is use this framework to help you create your story for your 30-second pitch. Sometimes networking meetings will say, tell us about your business. You got 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Never take the 60 and 90, right? You lose, unless you're really, really good, you're losing people. And especially if you're at the end, right, you want to be, right, like that. Okay, so what we're going to do, here's the basic framework. I help character, person, client, ideal client, who has a problem by being their guide. So you are not the hero, you are the guide. You are not Luke Skywalker, you are Yoda, right? You fix their stuff. And they come back to you over and over again to help them keep fixing their stuff. With a plan. You gotta have a plan, right? How are you gonna do it? What kind of insurance packages are you gonna give them? And so they avoid failure, not having insurance, having crappy IT, and experience success. Amazing coverage. Lightning speed servers that nobody complains about. Or a telephone system that works. Okay? So that's the sentence we're going to craft for you. So now what I want you to do is start going through each of these, one by one, And let me read through this example for you. Again, daycare, so you kind of get an idea of what this could possibly sound like. I help busy parents in Castle Rock who worry about finding the right care by running a warm, safe, licensed home daycare where kids are treated like family. With flexible hours and daily updates, parents feel confident and connected while they're at work. Isn't that a great story? Like, who doesn't want their kid to go to that daycare, right? Because it hit all the trigger points that a parent thinks about with the problem and then what they're envisioning. So that's what I want you to craft now for yourselves. So first, start with who your character is. Who is your ideal audience? That's why we did that little exercise. Working parents in city, right? So you got that piece. What's the problem you're trying to solve for them? And don't think, I'm doing their IT. What is their internal problem? What keeps them up at night? If I don't fix this IT issue, my company could be gone in a month. I could lose X employee who I don't want to leave. That's the internal problem they're trying to solve. The external problem is the one they're going to tell you, but you know what the internal problem is, right? That one's a little tougher, but trust me, if you figure it out, it's gold. And especially if you can express that to the person, they'll be like, oh my gosh, that is exactly my problem. Where do I sign? That will actually happen. If they feel understood, if they feel heard, oh my gosh. The guide, that's you, my little Eunice, and the plan, right? What are you gonna do for them? What's the plan? How are you gonna get them from where they are today to where that beautiful success that they're envisioning? And then talk about, the next thing is talk about what that success is. What does that look like? We talk about avoiding failure. We don't have to say you're going to avoid this unless it's super duper important. But you can kind of infer that they're avoiding this by doing that. So in the world of home inspectors who are certified for radon, they talk about what radon can do to you so that the homeowner knows what could happen if they don't get radon testing and remediation done. But that's a rare instance. But in your case with insurance, if you don't have the proper coverage, you could be paying out of pocket. So there are times where you talk about what to avoid, but be extremely careful. Because you don't always need to. Just you imply it with experience success. Okay, so take a couple minutes, write this out, yell out when you get stuck. We can go through as many of these as you need to. It's a little hard because we're not used to talking about ourselves this way, but I guarantee you it's worth it. Just do that to keep the screen away. By the way, if you really feel like you're struggling, you don't feel confident in this, and I can share these slides, Lauren. Throw all of this into ChatGPT,
Yeah.
and it will do it for you. Because guess what? It knows Donald Miller and knows his book. It's been trained on that. It will story brand you up like that. So, but I
had friends
like,
that had, they asked Chat, well, my husband uses it to fix my car all the time.
yeah. But if you put all of this in there exactly
Seriously.
this way, it's going to give it to you exactly the way that you need it.
Yeah.
Don't go in there and say, help me to write a story about my pitch. That could go very wrong. Yeah, or you can take a picture of it, because then you can upload the picture to ChatGPT and say, use this method, help me do this. And give it your ideal audience, the details. That's gonna help a lot too. So, but try it on your own first. We need to think a little bit, because then when we get the output out, we'll know if it's right or not, because we've gone through the exercise ourselves. Awesome. Anybody feeling stuck? Anybody want to share their story? The perfect audience.
At Eternal Edge Solutions, I help small businesses generate solid leads with compelling content, emails, blogs, pre-qualification packages that convert. Words have power.
What's my internal problem that you're solving for me?
Generating leads
That's an external problem. Why do I want to generate leads?
for business.
Why?
Because if you don't have business, you don't have a company.
That, because you're not making money. That is your internal problem.
Okay.
Don't say lead gen. We get you
Okay.
customers so that your business grows,
Okay.
right? And for business to business, 9 times out of 10, it's always gonna come back to business growth or lowering expenses, right? For people placement, you wanna place exceptional people who are gonna move the business forward.
So I'm the business development coordinator for a retirement community. And so I'm doing my story brand. I help seniors and their families find the right retirement community that best suits their wants and needs, so that the senior and their family know that they're in an environment in which they can thrive.
Okay, I would dig a little deeper, right?
Me too.
What's their, we want mom and dad to thrive. Why?
So they feel comfortable, I guess.
Why? Why do we care?
Why do we care?
Yeah, why do we care that they thrive and feel comfortable?
Because I wouldn't want my mom in that facility if she's not comfortable.
Right, because you
You
love
love
her,
them.
right? Because she
Well,
took
she's
care of,
gone, but yeah.
well, yes, but she took care of
Lived to
you.
94.
So you might want to use language like, we're going to take, like they did with the daycare, we're going to take care of them like their family.
So their lasting years,
Right.
are quite enjoyable
Right,
or something.
but again, it's the reason why we want that. That's
Yeah.
the internal problem we're solving.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put my mom in a horrible place
Right.
because she would have never did that to me.
Right.
Because she's one of the most important people in my life and I need to take care of her. Now, obviously that has to get synthesized down. And that's where ChatGPT can help too. It can synthesize that down into a couple sentences. And that's why I said the internal problem is so hard, because we think that if we talk about the external problem, thriving, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah. But if you actually say to them, no, we're gonna take care of your mom like I take care of my mom. I have a client, and that's exactly his slogan. It's families helping families. I take care of your mom like I take care of my mom, right? He's on the East Coast, you don't have to worry about conflicts or anything. But when I said that, what did you feel? You're like, hot damn, that's where I want my mom. Like you got this feeling that said, oh my gosh, that's where I want to put my mom. If I can't take her in with me, because there's a little bit of guilt there too. Like I can't take her in with me, right? Or maybe they have Alzheimer's, or maybe they have some type of health thing where you can't take care of them. You need the next best thing, right? And that could be the other thing, right? That's great. I'm glad you shared. Anybody else?
I help businesses who worry about technology outages, being their partner with proactive monitoring and urgent response so they can avoid costly downtime and loss of revenue.
That's great, right? You could even shorten that up. You don't even have to talk about the outages. You do things to keep costs down and not lose productivity, right? Getting in there, because when you're in a room like this and people hear that, they're like, oh, I need that. I have that problem. Like it hits here for them. And that's when people will remember it. Good. Okay, so the next thing we need to talk about is circling back to the ask and why we listened so intently in the beginning. So this you can tell everybody. What you're going to change up is you're in one of 3 situations. You're in a room where you have to stand up and talk about your business. Boom. You're talking to someone who's a potential client. Boom. What's the ask? You want to ask them for their business, right? However you do that. If it's a strategic partner, you want to do this, and then you ask them if you want to be a partner. You don't know, well, you know if you're in a networking meeting, right? But then who's in the room? So you're going to That's why listening is another reason it's so important, because you're gonna change the ask depending on who you're talking to or standing in front of. So if you're standing in a room and telling people who you are, and you know that 90% are strategic partners, my ask would be after all of this, and I'm looking to be a strategic partner with these types of companies. Because when you're that specific, when they meet someone, they're gonna remember you. So you go very specific with the ask and let people extrapolate it out. That's why we don't say we work with anyone. Because it's very hard for us to take anyone and turn it into a single person. Where if we take a single person, we can go and then figure out who else they're like, right? It's pattern recognition. We can't recognize patterns from such a large data set of things like anyone. So that's why it's really important to listen. Because then when they say, oh, well, what do you do? Great, I got this. And then you can start the conversation on, I want to be a strategic partner. I'm willing to help you if you help me. No, you're my ideal client. Yeehaw. Not going to go overboard, but like I help people like you with this type of a problem. Let me know if you're interested. Or it's like, hey, if you meet someone, this kind of thing. The other thing I want to share here too is when you are listening and talking to people, find out what are the words that people say when they know they need the service. So in other words, if you ask me, you know, what should I be listening out for so I can give you a good referral? I will say to you, okay, they want to put AI in their business, but they don't know where to start. That is the key phrase. And I guarantee you, if you hear that phrase, my face is going to pop into your head and you're going to be like, oh, I got the perfect person for you. So always make sure you ask, and then you always tell people what they should be listening for. And we as experienced marketers, we need to tell people, because not everybody's going to know to ask you that. But that could be, it's like, you know, I want to help you. I want you to help me. Are you open to that? Yes, great. This is what I want you to listen for so that you can give good referrals to me. So you're doing a little network training as you're giving, as you're help them help you, right? So that's really an important one too. And that's why we listen first. Because you can even put that at the end of the ask, right? It's like, I'm all these things. And then if you hear someone say, oh my gosh, I'm struggling to find good daycare. I'm struggling to find daycare for my kid. That's the person I want to talk to. So if you're uncomfortable with asking for business, ask for them to listen. That helps non-hunters really, really well, right? You can be really good at network. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to network, I don't want to sell. It's because you don't know how to ask in a way that's comfortable for you. This is your way. If you're not that person, like, hey, you want insurance? I got you.
But then there's the people that just want.
Yes.
And those are the people you shouldn't have a good
No, those are the ones that you run away from.
Yeah.
So let's talk more about, so here's what I want to do. Yeah, we got plenty of time. We got 25 minutes. Let's take 5 minutes. Pair up, and I want you to practice. You've got your story, and you've hopefully thought about your asks. Spend 5 minutes. Each person takes 2 minutes. Give them your story and your ask. Saying it out loud is going to help you refine it. Because what you wrote down, you're like, you say it, you're like, oh, that's so stupid, right? Practicing helps, right? Because you want to be authentic and you want to be able to adapt, right? So if you get the chance, go through your different asks a couple times. So let's take 5 minutes. Everybody pair up. Find a friend.
And there is coffee if anybody wants
We're
it.
gonna do this, we're
Yeah.
gonna do this really quick, 5 minutes, not 15.
My name's Victor.
Abby.
More than nice to
Nice
meet
to
you.
meet you.
How are you today, Morgan?
Yeah. We're making friends too.
I work with you on start there, so. You have a very activity, and then you started selling. So you already missing the door, the door being the shop house.
And do you only have to do with your lead, or do you You know Jonathan Owen? He's developing,
Well, it could be his business, 4 or 5 employees.
Again, I'm just trying to be practical. What would I say to her? Like, how would I get her to use an influence to get her to come out and
But, or if you had relatives that were just talking about their race rising.
Yeah, I would say there's a small group that have been,
Alrighty, folks,
so those are all.
let's come back.
Everybody really sharing like.
Alrighty, folks, we're coming back. We still have a couple more slides to get through.
I think you're good.
Oh, thank you, dear. I know. I hope everybody enjoyed their one-to-one. That was by design, by the way. I hope you met a good person.
What I heard you say was.
Victor's like, I don't care. I'm sorry.
I'm losing my
My
hair
fault.
out of here.
My fault. So hopefully that practice helps solidify
Good job,
your words and that kind of thing, right? So congratulations. If you really work at this, you are now better than 70% of the networks out there. That's it. This is the formula. So let's talk about how to get you to 90 to 95% better than all the other marketers, networkers out there. Okay. We need a follow-up system. It's great. You go, you talk to people, you meet people and that kind of stuff. But what you do after is getting you that extra 20%. So you need a follow-up system with leads, with power partners, other types of referral partners. So you need to record these contacts. We can't remember everybody. You can use a fancy CRM. You could use a book. Or you can use a Google spreadsheet, something simple. Name, telephone number, email address, their company name, what they do, the business category they're in, and what are you listening for? Because then when you hear it, and maybe they don't pop in your head, you go to your little thing, you go, oh, I know this person, great, I'm gonna refer them. Because don't forget, you giving a referral, especially if it's to a client, is super valuable for you. Giving referrals is immensely valuable for you, not just getting them. Stay in contact. Send text messages, emails, follow-ups. When you give that referral, by the way, that is a great follow-up. Hey, loved our meeting last week. I was thinking about you. I'm connecting you to so-and-so. Or reaching out. Hey, so-and-so says they want to talk to someone like you. Is it okay if I connect the two of you? I always ask permission. I don't automatically assume, right, that you want to be connected to that person. But then that's 2 touch points, right? It's me asking permission and then me making the connection. Those are really powerful versus a, hey, how's everything going, right? Love to reconnect. And that's where the one-to-ones come in, right? Visit their office, have coffee. You guys just each had a one-to-one today, right? They don't have to be long, right? Half hour, 45 minutes is great, but you just learn so much about each other. And then if you want to really formalize it, and really keep it going, is offer a monthly newsletter, right? If you're doing one for your clients, add your referral partners to that too, right? But make sure it's educational in nature and not a sales letter. So you want to share tips and highlights about your industry. So going back to the daycare example, it's like toddler snack ideas and rainy day games. It doesn't have to be about what you do, but it's about supporting who your customer is and helping them in all facets of their life, where it makes sense for you. So you could do technology tips, right? You could be like, here's how you keep, this particular thing maintained really well, right? Things they can do on their own, and maybe even tips on when they should do it themselves and when they should call an expert. That's always helpful. And then other short personal notes in there about kind of like giving a peek on the inside. So in the daycare thing, they'll send out a note, ideal toddler snacks, and then say something like, oh, we've planted sunflowers this week. For you, with the facility, Tuesday's gonna be board game night. Let them get a feel for what life is gonna be like when they become your client, like what they're gonna get, right? That's that insider thing, right? You know, we placed Susie at this company, and now not only is she thriving, but she got promoted 3 times because she had this specific training that we recommended to give her, right? That's where testimonials would help, too. So if you create yourself a follow-up system, that's gonna get you to that 90%. So let's talk about what this looks like.
You say LinkedIn also for step 2?
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
LinkedIn's a big thing.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta
Text
have it.
messages, emails, LinkedIn messages, just make sure the person's a LinkedIn person. Just because you're a LinkedIn person doesn't make everybody a LinkedIn person. And then if you're B2C, find out where they like to talk to. If they're not a Facebook person, don't try to force them to get on Facebook Messenger, right? If they're not an Instagram person, try not to force that. Communicate with the people you want them to hear you where they are at. Don't force them to go to your communication. That's a great way to lose people too.
And just one more note, on the LinkedIn, I've discovered, in the last, I don't know, several years, those that are on, I'm not on premium, because I think it's a waste of money, but those that are on premium, obviously when you hit the connect button, sometimes it allows you to do a message, sometimes it doesn't. When they're on premium and I'm not, I wait till I have that 1-1, if I found their phone number a different way, and then I go on LinkedIn, like within 24 hours to connect with them, they immediately connect back. Because they're like, oh yeah, I just had coffee with Angie.
Yep.
You know, so just FYI on that one,
Absolutely.
if you're wanting, never gonna connect with them, try to find their phone number or email a different way.
Yeah. And if they don't connect back with you,
Yeah.
it's not that they don't want to talk to you, they just may not be LinkedIn people, right? A lot of people have LinkedIn profiles and they're not LinkedIn people. So just realize that. Especially, and that's with any of these channels. If they don't email you back, they may not be email people. I have a client where I have to email him things and then I have to text him to tell him to go to his email. And I do, right?
So old school, just want you to pick up the phone.
Oh, yeah. Those are the ones I won't take because I'm not a phone person and I know I can't bridge that barrier. I know myself. I don't work with companies where they want to call me all the time, and I don't work with clients that want to call me all the time. I say thank you, but no thank you, and I refer them on. But yeah, that's great. That's great. So yeah, this is your process. So let's, I wanted to go. There it goes. Okay, no, that's not where I wanted to go. Why are we struggling today?
There's a sweet spot like right by that desk I've seen.
There we go. Okay, so during networking, last 2 slides here, folks. I want you to avoid these mistakes. I told you a lot about what to do. Now I'm going to tell you about what not to do. Don't be that guy everybody's avoiding. Don't talk too much. We talked about the power of listening and what you want to listen for. I think that's going to be a good reason for you not to talk about yourself so much, but to listen, right? You'll get more if you listen. Hard selling. Help, educate, learn about the person. Don't walk around and be like, hey, you need me? Hey, you need me? That's, people are like, no, thank you. Even though I do need you, I'm gonna go find someone else who does it, because you're a little too pushy for me. Especially here, because Colorado Springs, Monument, this whole area, we are a relationship-based community. We wanna build relationships and then do business, right? This is not New York City. They just wanna do business and then pat you on the back and send you on your way. So know where you're at too. Forgetting follow-up, right? You've had an amazing conversation. Make sure you follow up. Don't feel like you're bothering people, right? You're not being overly pushy, and the way we communicate now is people get to it when they get to it, so it's not like with a telephone call, you have to pick up the phone. This last one's super important. Unclear messaging. Confusing descriptions and using industry jargon with non-industry people. I have had insurance people, technology people, locksmiths, and plumbers talk jargon to me, and I'm like,
Acronyms left and right, I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know what those initials mean.
right.
Yeah.
Make sure you're explaining things very plainly, and that's why I showed you the story brand method. If you notice, there's not really a lot. You have to work really hard to inject your jargon, right? More is less, and keep it clean, clear, and simple. Act like you're trying to tell a 5-year-old. That helps too. Alrighty, so let's talk about your plan of action. What are you gonna do when you leave here? The first thing you're gonna do is try to go to 1 to 2 networking events per month, in person or online. I try to do 1 a week, but again, I've been doing this for a while, right? I know the value it brings, I've seen the results, so therefore I am motivated. And sometimes they're not all in person. I mix online and in person. So for this week, this is my networking event, right? Got to meet all of you, do those things. Try to have 3 conversations and use your story brand one-liner for all 3 of them. You see some people that go in and go, I'm gonna meet 10 people, right? That's exhausting. That is exhausting. And when you get to person 5, you're like, yeah, here's my story brand one-liner, tell me what you do, I'm not listening anymore because I haven't had enough caffeine and I need a snack, right? 3 is reasonable.
I know, 'cause so many people are like, when I network, I get no less than 10 business cards. And I'm like, how can you do that? When you
Right?
can't even
Oh
start
my
a
gosh, that makes
relationship.
me wanna cry.
Yeah.
3 is a great
Yeah.
number.
I think that just puts pressure on yourself, that you go in there and your intent changes.
Right.
Just
Well,
be
and
natural,
people-
meet people wherever you're at.
Yeah, and people in the room notice that. You know the bouncer, the flitterers, right? Okay, now, and I'm off to you. And we're
Right.
all like, what the hell are they doing?
Right.
Right? And then you're like, backing out of the line of sight here. I don't want to be next, right? Because you know what they're doing. They're trying to go for volume. Go for quality, not volume. And then schedule your weekly follow-ups in however you schedule stuff. If you have a task list, a second brain, if you put everything on your calendar, and then try to contact one person consistently. Give them a referral. If you can't give them a client referral, find a strategic partner. Go through your list. I guarantee you, your strategic partners have the same strategic partners you do. So, introduce a COO to a CPA, right? Ask them, hey, I know this person, would you like an introduction? They're gonna go, yeah, and then and that's a touch point. Versus if you just reach out and go, hey, how's this going? Or if you know about their hobbies and that kind of stuff, that's another field you can put into your contact form is what are their hobbies? Who are their kids' names? And you can say, hey, I just watched such and such, did you see that? Right? It's a connection, it reminds them who you are. And then, when you're comfortable and ready, elevate yourself to a monthly newsletter for customers, leads, and partners. And always make sure you're including your call to action. CTA, call to action. Now, what I do, and I started this a year ago. So I've been doing this 15 years, and I just started this a year ago. I have 2 newsletters. I have one just for my strategic partners, and one for everybody else. And what I do for my strategic partners is that I write to them about stuff they can share with our shared clientele so that they can forward it and this helps them service their customer. Hey, I know we were talking about that AI stuff. A partner that I have wrote this, I thought you'd be interested in it. And they just forward it, right? No mas, no fuss, and it's adding value to the client without having to make a referral.
Or reposting their social media.
Right, which you can never dang find anyway, because once it's gone, right? There's no way you can find that stuff. So that's what's great about the email, right? And then you can go back to the person and say, hey, I just forwarded this to my client, thanks so much for sharing it, right? So that's that next level thing. For me, it's totally worth it. My strategic partner newsletter has a 80 to 96% open rate because it's highly curated.
What's your subject line?
It depends on it's the topic.
Okay.
So whatever the topic is a subject line, and it is a 1-minute read. Skimmable with bullet points. And then I always, I have like something I talk about, right? So let's say, for example, it's like AI consulting. Why is it important, right? And then here's why it matters. Because if you add AI to your business, you're gonna see a 40 to 60% reduction in overhead. You'll see less burnout for your employees. All of it's focused on helping my strategic partner give value to their client, right? So boom, 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 boom. And then I ask my strategic partner, do you want to talk about this more, right? Do you want to understand it so that you can explain it to your client? It is completely focused on them and how they can help their customer, which is very different than a regular newsletter, which I was talking to you about. Alrighty. That's it. So if you want to stay connected to me, here's my newsletter. If you think we're strategic partners, let me know, because that is a different connection point. But yeah, I share a lot of content, mostly educational, about businesses helping with artificial intelligence in their business. But once we get connected, you can always send me an email and say, hey, I got a question. I am a LinkedIn person, by the way, so if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, ask me questions there. That works for me too.
One thing I just want to say what I've discovered in my networking, and y'all probably already know this, but I can only refer people I like. So, example, I can't tell you my list of financial advisors. It's just stupid, because every time you go to a networking event, there's at least 5 to 10 financial advisors. So, and my way into businesses like there's a certain person I saw on LinkedIn with the postings. I'm like, there's no way she's gonna meet me for a coffee. There's no way. She's too busy, crazy. I called, I think it was the second or third call. I said, I'm trying to reach Michelle. I'd love to have a 1-1 because I'm expanding my financial advisor list. When I use the word expanding, I think that was accepted. And so when I met with her, she said, you know, I just gotta tell you, you had balls. I'm meeting you for coffee because you had the balls to call twice, and there's more to you than just needing me on your list.
Yeah.
And it turned out we had so much in common. So we were like chatty Cathys for other crap, and 2 weeks later I'm referring my sister to her. Because my sister called me, she goes, who can you refer? I'm matching personality, and I tell them on the phone when I'm expanding my list, I want to match personalities with personalities. I'm not going to refer Bob, who's 85, to a 25-year-old that I love, and I don't want to lose her relationship, you know. I'm going to give her to somebody that's like 28, 29, and a really good financial advisor.
Right.
You know?
So that's what I talked about very, very in the beginning, know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
And then the other one is that's a good explanation of giver's gain. And then that was you saying, I want to help you so you can help me.
Right.
And that's part of what she responded to too.
Yeah.
You don't always have to call multiple people, especially if you're not comfortable like that. But sometimes people need a couple pings. I don't go more than 3, me personally. Right? If you after 3 tries, if you are ghosting me, then I'm moving on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was great sharing that experience. You're a giver. You can tell that you're a giver, and that's why you're such a great networker. Any other thoughts, questions? Sweet.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hopefully everybody got something.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you? Oh,
Yes.
yeah. You worried me. I was like, crap. She's a networker.
First of all, there are so many people I know that should have been